Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Premier League reaction show. Apologies there before for the technical things, but actually, as United, Spurs, and Arsenal fans, it just hasn't been our weekend. So, for me personally, from a Spurs perspective, I'm not surprised. But look, on tonight's show, we've got some amazing guests. We've got the world famous Omondi representing the United fans. We got Gunter and we got Gunner King in the building, Arsenal FC in the building. So, gentlemen, before we kind of dive in, one of the things that we've been talking about on this show is that we want to bring it in within the 30-minute time frame. Okay, we've not done it at all in the previous weeks, but can we for the first time be able to give a productive reaction show and bring it into time? That really is the question this evening. So look, before we dive in and we start off with the weekend's matches, how are you in general? There's been a lot of things happening this week, especially from the tail end of the kind of ESL. Where are you? Where do you stand? How are you? How are you feeling about your clubs? And I'm going to go with you, Gunner King, to start with.
With me, yeah. Personally, I'm disappointed, extremely disappointed in Arsenal Football Club, the way it's been run. I've been disappointed with Kroenke for the better part of a decade. I see him as someone who has so many divested interests in other sports franchises, and it seems like his hierarchy of importance is with the franchises he has in the US. You know, him being from the US, it just seems like he's using us as a vehicle to raise cash to invest in those guys. He's seen us deteriorate over decades. He's seen other teams, including yours, overtake us in league ranking. You know, I mean, the Glazers, they might be poor, but at least when it comes down to it, they'll pull their money out of their pockets. So this was the nail in the coffin. It just confirmed what I already know, you know, that he doesn't care about the fans. I think all 6 of the clubs involved, to do it without consulting their fans is just crazy. So yeah, I wasn't happy. I went down to the protests to say my piece. Yeah, I mean, I'll be continuing to push to get this illness out of our club.
You know, big up to you because you know, I was gonna say, you know, in my lifetime, I you know, and we're gonna talk about the game on Friday, but for me personally, I think this is the worst Arsenal side I've ever seen. And for me, I'm all about fairness in football. You know, you want the competition element, and for me, I just found it quite cheeky that my club could. I mean, on one hand, it's fortunate that we're one of the 6, but at the same time, watching what I've been watching the last few months, it's quite cheeky to say that we deserve a seat at that table when you got the likes of Leicester City, West Ham, you know, and other clubs who probably deserve that seat more than we do at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
I'd say the same about Arsenal. Exactly the same. You know, we deserve nothing. You know, like I'm all for. I want to compete for things on merit. You know, at the end of the day, you know, it's got to be meritocratic. Any footballing competition, you know, like the idea that you can create a competition you can't be relegated out of or have other teams promoted into, just being there by virtue of being one of the 6 richest clubs in your country is disgraceful. Yeah. Absolutely disgraceful.
Gums, I just want to bring you in at that moment before I bring in Omondi, but your thoughts as a fellow Arsenal fan.
It's not split or torn. Like, the way we've gone about it is just bad, and there was concepts of it I didn't like. But on the flip side, I'm not against taking some power away from UEFA. I feel let down by UEFA and FIFA. We know how corrupt and bad they've been. I feel Sky Sports and the pundits on there played a major role in how it's been delivered. And to me, it's again maybe a fear from them of if this Super League does go ahead and now it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime, where's Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher's job going to be? So I feel the Super League done themselves a disjustice of how they presented it. I didn't kind of jump out of my seat like a lot of people have. Don't get, I'm not happy with the Cronkies, but at the same time, they're running a business. So if there's a way to become self-sufficient, make money, more money than you could ever imagine, they're going to do it. And it's no different than I'm watching government. I'm hearing Boris talk about this, but yet Boris has just spent 2 million on a room where he's going to hold his meetings and his television reviews. 2 million of taxpayers' money. When his people and his secretary are creating these businesses, selling PP, and they're getting awarded the big contracts, people aren't talking the same. So to hear Boris and to hear Prince William come out and talk about it, to me is madness. And it shows the level of corruption and greed, because when it's suiting them, they're coming and talking. But Harry Williams' brothers come out and spoke about the family, and he hadn't said a word to back his sister-in-law or his brother, but yet he's talking about owners from America. Like, it don't make sense to me. So bigger picture, I would like to see UEFA lose a bit of power and someone come and contest UEFA. But I think the ESL, well, the group went about it the wrong way. And with regards to my chairman, if this is a catalyst to get him out, then I'm all behind that, because he's the way he's got my club at the moment. Again, I'm 36 this year, and this is probably the worst since I can remember I've seen our club. Even we might have a bad season here and there, but the actual structure of our club is in a bad position. So for me, it's time to get him out. But with regards to the Super League, I think they went about it the wrong way, but I'm not against someone trying something and trying to better themselves, if you know what I mean. But again, I do feel bad for the teams they left behind. But we'll come on to that another day. I've got some views on it and what they could have done different.
Yeah, and I think definitely, I mean, that's definitely one for another show. But wanting to bring him under in because their chairman at United has felt so strongly that he had to step down. I'm wondering, were you moved by that gesture? I mean, how do you feel over in Manchester?
To be honest, Guy, business never personal. If you think the fans, they care about the fans, we're wrong. They don't care about the fans at all. And the fans got no say in this at all. This is going to go ahead regardless. They said they're going to reshape it. They're going to go back to the drawing board and reshape it and bring it back again. And before you know it, we're going to be signing up to some kind of new league, rebranded, and we're just going to fall for it because we love the game that much. We're going to buy the tickets. Look, if you're invested in the business like these guys are, the ones we're talking about, Kroenke, all these big wigs, it's a profit organization, profit-making organization. All right, are they making profit? Are they seeking to make the best profit they can? They're doing their job. Okay. Do the fans generate money for the club? We've had COVID for over a year. Are the fans in the stadium? No. Are these big clubs still surviving? Yes. Are the lower clubs surviving without fans? Maybe not. So, the gate receipts and all that kind of thing is not really a big issue, it seems. Spurs got a brand new stadium. And you think, oh, my God. And now we've got a whole year without any fans. Doesn't matter. They've already, that's not how they generate the money anymore. There's other means to generating money. So to keep it short and sweet, don't be fooled by anything. They can tease you with something, test the reaction like they do. It's just an experiment. They test the reaction, see how people would react. And it's fine. Gumsa, you said some good points. Same as you, Chris, and you, Dej. I have to agree with you all. I can't really add much more than that. But I watch, observe, and don't get the emotion involved too much because they understand we're tribal. As football fans, we're a bit tribal, and that's where we can get a bit ignorant. If we can just think what we're doing really and understand what the business world is about. I don't, to be honest. I never really buy into that. I just like the game, watching the game, playing the game, do whatever. But once you understand that side of things, it's a horrible, nasty business you're dealing with. Like I say, business never personal.
And the thing is, the way COVID...
Don't be deceived to think that the fans have made any changes or fans has stood up and, we told you so. They ain't told anyone this shit. They're going to go away and come back with
I personally believe if this thing was organised through UEFA and went through UEFA and the Premier League and the FA and that, this would have got approved. I think it's just because it went against what the code is. I heard someone come out and say what the 14 board members in England were worried about is the 6 board members from the club have been listening to meetings, and they were worried they're going to come out and say what was being planned behind the scenes. So again, it's that pack mentality, isn't it, for those guys? And that's what their big fear was, oh, these guys have heard what we've been said for the last 2 years, and they're worried that that's going to get leaked now when Arsenal or Man United are ready. So, yeah, it's all corrupt, isn't it? It's all at the top. When we will never know what happens behind them closed doors, what's really being said.
No, 100%. And look, we will continue, gentlemen. We will continue. And, you know, Gemma picks up on the same point. Boris quote of the week describing the ESL as a cartel when he runs the biggest cartel in England. Well said, Gemma.
Oh, but hold on, but you see the irony there. This is Boris. He's got invested. Yes, I'm saying.
100%.
No,
that suddenly he cares. You know, no,
and I think there's a lot of things that you guys were saying that we need to kind of unpick in another show, because you know, I think on Monday you're right. They wouldn't just drop it. They were testing the waters there to see the reaction. They already know. I mean, they were talking about contracts already being signed. You don't do that unless you're pretty sure. So, you know, one thing I was saying is it's probably done deal, but maybe it won't. They were talking about August, maybe kicking this in. Maybe it's not going to be August this year, but in the next couple of years. But look, let's go in, because on that note, we go into Friday's match. Arsenal fans, you know, we saw Gunnar King out there live and direct leading the charge, 10,000 Arsenal strong outside the Emirates Stadium. And then inside, something was happening inside the stadium. Arsenal was taking on Everton, right? And you guys got beat 1-0. And for me, I predicted a 2-1. And, you know, Richarlison being on the score sheet. But that was a dreadful performance. I saw the starting lineup, and I was like, was it Xhaka left back? I mean, what the hell is this? I mean, like I said, this is the worst Arsenal team I've ever seen. And I'm going to go on Monday before bringing in Gamza. On Monday, what's your thoughts? Arsenal used to be United's biggest rivals, and then what's happened?
Yeah. Well, I think Arsenal traditionally have always been a well-run club. That's standard. And I'm talking like pre-Premier League, all this money and other way. They generated money well. They managed the club well. Who's David Dean?
Mm-hmm.
Top man for the club, you know. But everything's gone west these days. As for the playing side of things, I've got faith in Arteta. I just think by a footballing man, I've got a manager at Old Trafford who doesn't talk tactics. Arteta does. Arteta knows what he's talking about. He's got a philosophy. He's got a style of play that he wants to implement on the team. So I think it takes time, and I'm prepared to sit back. I know they're suffering right now. I can see 2 red eyes next to me, you know. But I know you're suffering right now, guys. But give it a chance. They talk about the process and everything else. You've got to take licks. You got a majority of youth players. When Liverpool were doing successfully well, they had peak players in the peak of their powers, and now they're starting to drop off, and you've seen the drop off. You got to get that balance right. Give the guys a chance to get his formula right. Give the youth players. You got a few young players coming through with a few elders, and you give him time to balance the side, get the philosophy throughout the whole club, and then I think you'll start producing the goods, because you're a big club and you will start doing it. You know, unfortunately, Everton, they're a tough side. They gave you some licks, and you're going to get plenty more licks before the season done, especially if you get to the final, get the stuff, and then we're going to book whoop your ass. So just be ready for that, yeah? All right.
Because there's no chance in hell that Arsenal team is getting. Look, you've heard it here, live and direct.
Yes. There's definitely no chance in hell Spurs to get into that final.
I just want the build up. I want the promos. I want the whole week of build up.
I mean,
you ain't gonna draw me in
for the 2 English clubs to represent. But again, you know, I'm not financial advice, but my money's on Villarreal this week. Yeah, but Villarreal all the way. That Arsenal team is dead. But Gamza, come in. What's going on with your squad? You got spanked at home to Everton, and things ain't looking up for you guys right now.
As I said on the preview show, Arteta's pre-match talk with the teams should be the easiest one ever. Thousands of fans outside the stadium making noise. If that's not inspiring you, you're not fit to wear the shirt. The fact they got beat shows me them players ain't fit to wear the shirt. It's a handful of 5, I would say. I'm happy with and say could take this team forward. The rest, it's like time to go. Arteta showed me he could be ruthless. Yeah. So as I said previously, I wouldn't sack him yet because another manager could come in and get a bounce like Arteta did. Emery got a little bounce, and then we end up giving Mustafi's and them guys free, offering them extra contracts. So to me, while we're in the dumps, let Arteta clear it out and bring in some new players. And then if he's not the right manager next year, then he goes. But to bring a new manager in this year, get a bounce, and then we keep the same dead wood who have proved again and again they're not good enough, we're going to be in the same cycle. So for me, I'm behind Arteta just because I want to see him just do another ruthless transfer window like he did at Christmas. Clear out what he needs to clear out. We'll start again. I think Arsenal, we're too precious with some of our players. And I think this is the situation we find ourselves in. We're not a team like Chelsea or City who are going to fork out on players. I don't care if they got players to rot and paying 100,000 a week for a boy who's now sitting in, or a man sitting in the under 18s. We're not run like that. So we've got to allow ourselves to say, yes, we've got two great players, and in 2 years we might have to sell them. Liverpool probably weren't happy when they sold Coutinho, and for the benefit of the club, look what it done. It brought in better players, and they now won in Champions League and a league title from that. With Arsenal, we always try and hold on to our best players and hold them to ransom. They're going to sign a contract, and then they walk out on a free, or walk out for pennies. So again, look at Alexis Sanchez. We could have paid 60, brought in Mahrez for 60, but instead we held him for 5 more months. He did nothing. We bring Mkhitaryan in on the and then we let Mkhitaryan leave for free. That's not how you run a business and a club, and that's why we're in the position we're in. Result on Friday is just Arsenal, individual mistakes, nothing great going forward. People are getting onto Nketiah, but I've seen Aubameyang play worse than Nketiah play, so I'm not going to get onto the young man. If we're not creating for a striker who needs service, he's not going to score or do anything. So for me, it's about seeing the bigger picture. This year's a write-off. Let's hope we win the Champions UEFA Cup. Even if we do, it's just to try and attract better players because we ain't going to do nothing in Champions League next year. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's just the process. We got to try and do you know what I mean? I get it's frustrating. We shouldn't be 9th or 10th, but we are. And that's because of the mismanagement for years before. And it's coming to head now. And I think that was Arteta's job, wasn't it? It was last year, let me try and stabilise. We nicked the FA Cup. This year is, okay, let's get to the root of the problem. And hopefully next year we can start to rebuild again. So that's my views on it. And I'll move on because I'll be here forever otherwise.
No, well said. Gunnar King, you heard from your colleague there. The league table doesn't lie. And your performance probably didn't lie on the weekend, on Friday. Are you agreeing with his assessment of your team? Give Arteta another season, but at the moment, just more time.
In parts. Look, I'm Arteta in, but by the same token, I think there are stubborn elements to his system which he is dying by. You know, it's a similar situation with Jose. You know, like where he left all the Reweld out, and to be honest, Toby was pretty good today. He just will come in and he'll just make a decision on a player, and it's just hasty. Or someone like Pepe, who's been lambasted for ages, who finally, for me, since January, he's got a lot better. And then he'll play 2 or 3 games, and then he'll just take him out of the team and put someone else in. I'm all for changing your style or your formation to suit the opposition, but I think there is a fundamental in football which, some might call it old school, but you have to know what your best 11 is, and you have to know what your best system is. I'm not convinced he knows that. I stand by him, but I think he's had enough time to at least know the best system and the best 11 to be playing, so that even if you're playing against opposition that you're favouring, you don't have to worry about what their strengths or their weaknesses are. You play your best team. I can't think of any Premier League team that changes their centre backs as much as we do. Arsenal and Spurs. Liverpool have had to by default, of injury. So, I just don't get that, and I think Mari and Holding has been the best partnership. But the main thing that I have with Arteta is this patient build-up and passing out from the back. I'm not against the system. I'm against trying to use the system when you don't have the players capable of executing that system. For me, you need that kind of system needs people like Diaz at the back or Stones. You know, like you can see Arteta's come from City and thought, you know, I can put this system in place, but we don't have ball playing defenders. You know, we don't have players in defence that are comfortable, you know, sort of transitioning the ball into midfield either by running with it or passing with it. So it's almost like I feel like he can park the system and set up the defence and the midfield transitions as best as he can do. And then once he gets those players, then he can start making those changes. But it just seems to me like he's like, I'm going with this system, even though we don't yet have the players capable of executing that system, just because that's where I see, that's the system I see us using in the future. And I think that's my biggest criticism of Arteta, if I'm being honest.
Guys, look, we're in date. I mean, great assessment, and I think I agree. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with Arteta and Arsenal. But look, I think time and players, and this summer is the opportunity for us to see what happens. And I think I kind of agree with you. If after this round of another season, if he's not able to pull it round, then obviously some tough decisions will need to be made. Unfortunately, we've got to move on to the next game on the weekend. It was the Saturday morning kickoff, well, Saturday afternoon in terms of lunchtime, 12:30, Liverpool-Newcastle. I had Liverpool to win this game, and I was odds on to get that result. And then, would you know, that little Arsenal player, Willock, comes up again. Is this the third time he's done this? He did it
third time off the bench.
He's coming off the bench. Again, it makes me always... I always wonder, and this is why I think coaching is so important, because Tottenham sold Kyle Walker-Peters, and that boy is looking like Dani Alves over at Southampton, and where we don't even have a right back. But it was a 1-1 result. I think Brezzy, the Arsenal fan, he called the 1-0. I'm a bit surprised. Newcastle are fighting for their life. Liverpool, Amanda, you said something that I haven't considered, actually, and I'm going to come to you first. Have the wheels fallen off for Liverpool? Is this it? They've done their thing and they've got to rebuild again.
I've been saying this for a long time. I'm just going by patterns. And the evidence behind it is he was at Mainz in Germany. Took them a while with his philosophy. Like, he's got a philosophy too. Runs the players rugged and they get burnt out. Okay? They get success, then they get burnt out. So it's like a 6-7 year cycle and then a big drop. Happened at Mainz. Successful, then they got relegated. We went to Dortmund. Successful. Champions League final. Everything else, won the league two years running, very good, and they were an amazing side to watch, very successful, and then they dropped off. One season they nearly got relegated, if you guys remember this. They're in relegation form. Same thing, we're in the 6th year, is it now? 6 years he's been there, and look at the drop-off. And you can't just blame Van Dijk. There's something going on there, you know? Maybe the drugs don't work, who knows? I don't know. But there's something going on with this club. No, I'm serious. I'm serious about this. He's at East Germany, you know, like, just, sorry, I'm don't want to waste time. Look at the rowing team. After the Berlin Wall dropped down, I'm big into athletics, track and field. After the Berlin Wall went down in 1989, suddenly England or Great Britain had the best rowing team in the world. Steve Redgrave, all these guys, rowing. Like the best. Yeah. Little do they know, these East German doctors came over and started working for the team. You understand what I'm saying? Same with the cycling, Team Sky. East German doctors coming over and working. It's the same going with football. Look at the Bayern Munich midfielder. Look at Salah. They're these guys, you know. So I think it gets to the point where you say we can't have heart attacks on the field. We got to cool it down. There has to be a stopping point. I might be talking a load of things, but I can back out with some sort of patterns of play. But anyway, Liverpool, not that I dislike them, but it has to be said, they're burnt out. And this is a terrible like performance by them this season. Dropped off massively. 2 90-point seasons and suddenly this. And then you see Man City just being consistent. You know? Something's really wrong. But fair play to Newcastle. Big up Willock for coming on and showing a lot of character. His name, we're talking about him now, you know? A lot of character to do that and prove himself. Same with Nathan Niles at West Brom. all these guys. Same with Lingard. You're going out, you've got to show some character, and we're seeing who's stepping up. Football's all like a lot of mental. So big up to these guys, and big up to Steve Bruce. He was getting a lot of stick, and he's survived. He's come through now. Looked like they're going to be safe. So fair play to Newcastle. Big club, big result, and Liverpool whack.
Gunner King, I want to come straight to you. I'm on the. I heard
Well,
you saying there.
the thing is, I don't dislike Liverpool. My mum's a Liverpool fan. My girlfriend's mum's a Liverpool fan, ironically enough. So I don't really have any hatred towards them. I am sympathetic of the injury because I think Van Dijk, what you really see is he allows those fullbacks to look so good because they can go forward a lot more. They can feel comfortable staying higher up the pitch, knowing he's behind them. And also Fabinho, who is at Monaco and previously in his career has played as a centre back and as a right back and as a holding midfielder. So whenever their system is fluid, those two are key because Fabinho can slot into either the right back position, or if the centre back moves forward to fill in for the fullback, then Fabinho can drop in as the centre back, if you see what I mean. So their system is integral on those two players. And to expand on, or to add to Amondi's point, Klopp is a system manager, whereby, you know, he has a system where he, you know, like Arteta, like Jose, that they swear by, and there's not very much nuance in it. So what Klopp's tried to do is to have the same system without realizing that these two important chess pieces actually make that whole system work. So I am sympathetic towards them, but listen, since the turn of January, they've scored 4 goals at home. 4 goals at home since January. Yeah, we're talking about Mane, Salah, and Firmino. So, you know, to counter what I'm saying about their defense and how much Van Dijk's affected it, you know, you've got these strikers that can't hit a barn door at home. And I watched that game. You know, it was only going one way. They literally were laying siege on that Newcastle goal. You know, I think there was a moment where Salah squared it for Mane and he tried to round the keeper, and that for me just typified the whole game. You know, it's just like they weren't clinical enough, and it was almost like a microcosm of their whole season. You know, like where they just could not finish their dinner. So, you know, it's all well and good saying Van Dijk's out, look how that's affecting us. But I think what Amonde's saying about there's something going on at Liverpool, for me, it's the strikers. Firmino, for me, has always been more of a number 10 player. I thought bringing Jota in, you know, these guys might as well just throw caution to the wind and play all 4 of them on the pitch at the same time.
They did.
That's what I'm saying. And they did that. So that's going to take time to bed in. But that's how I see it happening, with Jota playing wide left, Mane playing up top, Salah cutting inside from the right-hand side, and then Firmino going back to his normal number 10 position. They like to play with a flat 3 in the centre of midfield, or like an inverted triangle in the centre of midfield with 3 people. Get rid of one centre midfielder. You know, you've got enough centre mids that can be solid enough to give you that extra man going forward, and just attack people, man. You know, but their attacks, it's looking jaded. You know, Jota he's been brought in to freshen it up, and obviously that is going to take time. But for me, I think Mane's had a terrible season. He's really, like, I don't like to dig him out. He's a fellow African, so, you know, I've always liked him. But he's not been. This has been his worst season, and it's a confidence thing. You can see it shot. You know, there's a lot of competition that you see with Salah and Mane as well, where they're playing together, where they're trying to outdo each other. Sometimes they don't square it to each other and they start fighting. So I do think that relationship is a bit hot to handle with those 2 players. But I think if you look at Mane's numbers and where Liverpool are, you can definitely correlate it to a drop in his goal scoring powers.
Big up to you, Gunner King. And you know what? On this Premier League show, we ain't just here popping shots at each other and just giving kind of loose kind of reactions. what you had there was a masterclass in how to sort out the Liverpool team. And what we want to do here is for any Liverpool fans or Liverpool ownership, Gunnar, I don't want to speak for you, but I will for this moment. Gunnar is ready to take over that Liverpool squad.
No chance,
no
man.
fee basis,
Oh.
all right? Because he just
The only person I'll do that for would be my mum, man. She'd love it, but no.
Big up, Gunnar.
Do it.
What you saying, Gunnar? Yeah.
Do you know what? I enjoyed yesterday. I enjoyed that equaliser. Willock's done more for Arsenal being away from Arsenal than boys actually at the club. But I think Liverpool's just a blip. I think they'll be back strong as ever next year.
Yeah.
I think a problem with Liverpool is the squad. I think Klopp's built a very good 11, but he hasn't invested heavily enough around the squad. So again, heavily reliant on Mane, Salah, Firmino. When that's not working, there's no one to come and. Do you know what I mean? You got Origi coming in or Shaqiri, who he doesn't really fancy. I said I know there's issues at the back, and I think a big issue was playing midfielders as centre backs. When do you know what? Go into your youth team and now bringing these under 23s or whoever it is to come and represent. Because even with the guys they brought in now, Phillips, as it hasn't been too bad. And Kabak hasn't been bad either. And they've been a lot better having Fabinho in the middle. But I definitely think it's the squad that's let him down. I don't think Sterling's had his best year this year. But it goes unnoticed because Foden steps up or Mahrez steps up or Bernardo Silva steps up. De Bruyne, who's had great games, but then Gundogan stepped up. Do you know what I mean? They haven't missed Fernandinho as much because Rodri this year stepped up. So I definitely think Liverpool got an okay squad, but in the front three area, I think midfield, they're fine. If they miss Henderson, they got Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Keita, Ox, they got players. But up in that front three, they neglected it and have been lucky. None of them really got injured, but Mane's had a dip in form. And if you take him out for 4 or 5 weeks, all of a sudden he might rediscover that form. But he's in the limelight and do you know what I mean? Everyone's looking at him to be the answer and he's not having a great season. I think that's hitting him hard. Regards to Newcastle, happy for them. I think they've been hit by injuries. I think once you now start seeing Callum Wilson, who he goes unnoticed, but I think he's been one of the signings of the season. St. Maxim's a good player.
St. Maxim is unbelievable.
Yeah. Almiron, and I think
it's electric.
Yeah, if they had them guys fit all season, I don't think they'd be down in that relegation battle. I think they'd be 1 or 2 places behind Arsenal. So, but,
maybe.
Yeah, no. So I definitely feel I'm happy. I want them to stay up. I think they are a massive club, Newcastle. So yeah, really want them to step up. And for Brucey, I would like to see him stay in the job and keep building because I think he's done a good job. Last year, people laughed at me. I said he was in my vote for top 5 managers of the season last year. And yeah, for me, it doesn't go unnoticed what he's done. So yeah, happy for Newcastle. I think Liverpool will be back. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to enjoy this moment while I can with them struggling.
Gamza, thank you. I'm just going to pick up on some of the comments from Gemma. Gemma saying that Liverpool's been missing their captain, and Hendo's been out for a while, I believe. Curtis Jones is back from injury now, which is
good player.
Good news. I think he's got a lot of potential. He could be another Foden.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I like how composed he is. And,
he's got good feet. He seems to have a footballing brain on him as well. I think he's going to be a good player in a few years.
Yeah, and then Gemma also mentioned the fact that she hopes that Liverpool will get a striker this summer. I think definitely they had someone like Harry Kane up top, mate. They would have walked the league, and then Maxim is phenomenal skills for days. I fully agree, 110%. Guys, look, we have already gone against our
failed
this evening at 34 minutes. We've only covered 2 matches.
Come, bring it.
We'll try again next week. But West Ham, Chelsea nicking a 1-0. And with the weekend's results, what that means is this top 4 has literally been open for the whole season. Because literally, as each week goes by, my beloved let me down, and Arsenal let their fans down, and Liverpool let their fans down. The gap just gets even closer and closer and closer. And Tuchel's managed to squeeze a 1-0. I actually had West Ham to win this one, but they didn't. Amanda, your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I'm going to make this quick now. 30 seconds. Let's go. Chelsea, I thought they just proves what you guys were saying about having a good squad. They got a massive game midweek, Champions League, and this is what they should be focusing on. They're in the FA Cup final. I thought they would have played a weak team and maybe would be happy with a draw. But no, they were gone there against a weakened West Ham team who are suffering from injuries and got a good result away from home. So fair play to them. The managers had a big impact coming in after Lampard, proving there's a big rift between Lampard in experience and a top quality manager. Well done, Chelsea, and good luck during midweek.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda. Excellent. Gamza, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think Chelsea have done what they've done since Tuchel's been in. Hard to score against, and they've got enough firepower up front to nick a goal or two. Not convinced they can go all the way under this management. I think this style of football can only take you so far. Not very exciting to watch, but they're effective at the moment. So fair play to Tuchel. I think obviously he's come in and just got, again, stabilised, try and reach the top four. And I'm no doubt he will build in the summer and get the players in he wants. And Chelsea will go from strength to strength underneath him. With regards to West Ham, I think they've done amazing this year, overachieved. But hopefully they can keep pushing. And do you know, I'll be quite happy if they stole one of them top four places. And they fully deserve it for what they've done this season. But yeah, again, missing a few key players, and it shows again, isn't it? When you've got quite a thin squad, one or two players missing can make such a difference. But yeah, good luck with them in the future. Again, hopefully they go and do something special.
West Ham deserve to finish in the top four. I think for their performances, they deserve to be in it. But if they're anything like Spurs, they probably won't get it. Gunnar, just quickly, your thoughts on Chelsea and them potentially doing a double.
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea, I think under Tuchel have looked a lot better. I think everywhere he's gone, Tuchel, he's been underrated massively. You know, I think Dortmund brought him in to replace Klopp, did a good job there. But I mean, how good a job can you do when Bayern are just outspending you every hurdle? You know, so he was ultimately judged on not winning the league, goes to PSG, ultimately judged on not winning the Champions League when you've got, you know, the Real, the way they were, Bayern, the way they are, you know, so got to a final last year. Good to see him back in work because I think he's a very underrated manager and he goes about his business very well. He's inherited a squad which has the players capable of scoring but isn't scoring. So what he's done is he's just made them a bit tighter at the back, a bit more difficult to break down. Pulisic is coming into his own. He's looking good. I thought he had a pretty good game. Werner looked effective, but then missed a sitter, you know, a chance to score a second. West Ham, you know, they're punching above their weight this season, which, you know, I can only be so happy about because it's another London team and we're doing terribly at the moment. But you know, look, credit to them. You know, they've done, you know, good with what they've got. It shows teams like us and Tottenham what you can do if you're, you know, you might have a smaller squad with less quality in it, but if you're well managed and if you've got a manager with experience that can get more out of certain players, then you can punch above your weight. So yeah, that's what my thoughts are on Chelsea and West Ham and the game. I think West Ham, the sending off was awful.
Terrible.
By the way, I just wanted to touch on that quickly because I think there's been a lot of decisions this weekend where VAR and referees or both have left a lot to be desired, and that was the pinnacle one for me. Embarrassing decisions.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah. And that's the problem with that VAR as well. I agree. It's that the inconsistencies. The whole point of VAR was to bring consistency, and in fact, it's just become even more inconsistent, and you just don't really know what they're doing, and it just feels like the refs have just given everything to the base of where they're monitoring VAR, and I think it's actually spoilt the game. And dare I say, Spurs have been on the poor end of many decisions, but I'd rather go back to that than some of the stuff that we're seeing at the moment. Sheffield United nicking a 1-0 victory over Brighton. I have to say I was surprised. Brighton, I thought all season have been playing some great football. I thought they were going to play them at the park. And McGoldrick is actually quite a decent player, at least for Sheffield United. He's always busy. He's always getting himself about. They've nicked to win. They're going down. Was that a surprise result, Gunnar?
I think, yeah, it was a surprise. I watched 3/4 of it and then I was cooking midway through it. And so, yeah, I had my TV turned round, but like my stove faces the way where it's impossible to keep watching it all. Yeah, I think with Sheffield United, they were just like, look, we're relegated now. It's confirmed. Let's just take the shackles off. They seem to play with a lot less pressure. But yeah, you're right about Brighton. You know, I've watched a lot of their games this season. You know, some days I'll just sit here and watch 3 games on the bounce. And so I've watched Brighton games, and there's games that they've lost or they've drawn where it's just like they deserved more from that game and they didn't get it. But they can't keep looking good on the eye and not getting results, unfortunately. I think they might go. It's sad because I actually like their manager as well. As an up-and-coming young manager, he's someone I look at that I think with more resources and a better squad, I'd be interested to see what he can do. Because, you know, when I've seen them play this season against some people, as I said, I've seen good football. But yeah, I think they had a goal disallowed as well. But yeah, I think they really needed to win that game against Sheffield United. 5 games left now. It's difficult with Newcastle starting to turn it on, you know, and Fulham, another team like Brighton as well. It's going to be a tight run-in, but I think Brighton might be gone.
Wow, that's a big statement. Gunter.
Again, with Sheffield United, I think shackles are off. And I feel they're pretty well set up to maybe come back next season. They've got some good young players in there who, do you know what I mean, had a hard year this year, but going Championship, they could bounce back quite quickly. I think the structure of the club's not too bad. And again, they invested in young players, which hasn't paid off this year, but long term, hopefully will pay off for them. So, yeah, good to see them grab a win. I feel bad for them because, again, I think COVID and not having fans has really affected them more than maybe other teams in the league. But again, I think their signings, they didn't go and get ready-made players or big names like other teams have in the past and maybe left themselves in heaps of debt. They've kind of spent a bit of money, but on young players, so the wages probably aren't as much. And again, they're looking for the long-term future of the club, a bit like Norwich as well, have done quite well in that. So yeah, hopefully they'll be back. With regards to Brighton, I think they're missing a Callum Wilson or a Danny Ings. I think with Southampton for years have always kind of been in and around the bottom, haven't they, and struggling. And they get the goal scorer in Ings in, and Chadams has done quite well as well. And all of a sudden, you see their position, it jumps up 5 places. Brighton do play really good football, and again, it's just they just lack the finisher. I do like Maupay. I think he puts it about, but again, he's not prolific enough. Welbeck, we all know Welbeck. Some of us have had him in our team, so we know what he gives you. So yeah, I think they're just a striker away from actually becoming a solid mid-table team, and not having to worry all the time about the relegation battle. So yeah, I think hopefully they do stay up. I think they're good. I think the one to challenge them would be West Brom, and Sam Allardyce has been there and done it, and he's grabbed some random victories this year, hasn't he? So he's one to worry about. But yeah, with Brighton, I think hopefully they're safe and hopefully they can get that striker in. I think they will push on again next season.
I do hope they stay up.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and again, I think that proves it today. In yesterday's game, they huff and puff and just can't go over the line, and it's just the lack of goals for them, isn't it? So, yeah, but we move on.
On Monday, 30 seconds for you. Sorry.
30 seconds, very quick. Congratulations, Sheffield United. Done really well to get the win. Sometimes you think your morale's going to go when you know you're gone and you ain't coming back. You just give up for the season. But that just shows me these players. When we played Sheffield United, all their players are big, strong, hungry, and northern. You know, that kind of thing. So you feel like, yeah, they give it a go. A bit like the Burnley players, which we're going to come on to soon. So yeah, I think they'll be back. Strong structure, as both you guys were saying. As for Brighton, I totally agree with you, Gumsa. They are just a strike away from being a very good team. So I don't think they're going to get relegated. A bit surprised for you two were saying they might get relegated or they're in the battle. I haven't seen the league, but from what I understood, it's the three that in the bottom now. They're definitely going to go down. But yeah, so Brighton, I think they'll be safe. Get them a good striker, and they'll be much better team. I like what they're bringing. They're bringing a lot of young players. Just to give a shout out quickly to Taylor Richards. He's on loan at Doncaster at the moment. Beautiful player. Used to be at Man City. My friend's son, and he's a quality player. I'd love to see him in the side next season, and he's a gem. He's an absolute gem, left-footed attacking midfielder. So hopefully he'll come back, and he's another guy that Brighton are buying with that same philosophy. Young player, talented, bit like the Basama or whatever. So yes,
and they got a boy called Alzate down there as well. He can play.
He's the one they bought from South America.
Yeah, he was at Swindon last year on loan. I'll see him a bit.
My favourite Brighton player is Trossard. I think he's nifty. Yeah, he's quality.
Some good players down there.
Next game.
Like I said, I hope that please like and subscribe the FTB Premier League reaction show. We ain't just giving you reactions. We are breaking down squad for squad Premier League teams. And for me personally, at the end of this show, I'm expecting the phone to be going off the hook for Omondi, Gunner King, and Guns Up. Look, Omondi, we will take that young lad that you mentioned, your friend's son. We'll take
Taylor Richards. Remember the name?
Taylor Richards, because
Doncaster at the moment.
At Tottenham Hotspur is absolute garbage. You've heard it here live and direct, and we could do with some real scouts out there finding real top talent. Look, we moved to this morning, or this earlier today, lunchtime. For me, I don't want to be too hard. I like Wolves. And for me, I have to say, Arsenal fans, you guys are responsible. Not the Arsenal fans, but Arsenal.
David Luiz
is responsible for the wheels coming off Wolves this season. Because if not for that injury, I actually think Wolves probably would have got into the Champions League side. I know it sounds wild, but actually with Jimenez up top and the way they were playing football, I think definitely they would have been in the top four. And Amanda, the reason why I can say this is because...
And now you're smiling. You had a straight face.
From Man U down has been inconsistent. It's been such an inconsistent season that actually games like Burnley today, Wolves would have won. I'm pretty sure they would have won it. Yeah. But here we see Burnley away from home gets spanked 4-0, and Woods looking like Harry Kane. I mean, what's going on? What's going on there? Gamza, tell me. What's going on?
Do you know, I missed the match, but I saw the score and I was like, what? Burnley 4? Like, I don't think Burnley scored 4 goals all season in one game. So I don't know what happened. I think the loss of the striker, it has been a massive miss for Wolves. But yeah, I think it's just one of them seasons where they've had the off season, and I do like their manager, and I think he will get it right again next season. Hopefully they stick with him because he's done a great job down there. But yeah, I think they've just been off the boil this year, haven't they? They really haven't been great. I will still take a few of their players. Ruben Neves, I would happily have in my midfield. But yeah, I don't know what's happened to them this year. Can't really comment on the game, but reference Burnley. It's just Burnley, isn't it? Like, they're established Premiership team now. They're here for the long run.
Yeah.
Sean Dyche has done wonders. As much as I don't agree with, I don't like his style of football, but I have to respect it. Do you know what I mean? I have to respect what he's done. On the budget he's got, do you know what I mean? The style of players he has in there, he makes it work. So fair play to him. The hardest thing for them is if he was to ever leave, I don't know if another manager can get things out of them players. So that's where they come unstuck. But yeah, fair play to them. Established Premiership team. And they would just keep rolling on. I think no one don't like playing them, do they? So yeah, they are who they are.
They're like the Bolton, Arsenal's bogey team, you know.
Yeah.
Sean,
very similar hallmarks.
For me, I feel like, again, this is for another show, but I feel like managers like the Sean Dyches who seem to do good jobs on the street budget. Do they deserve a crack at the top 6 side, that sort of thing? Do so Arsenal or Spurs, take a Sean Dyche with his experience, with his know-how. I feel like if Sean Dyche was in charge of Spurs today, we probably would have more shots on goal, because that was an absolutely dire performance. But look, we're not talking about the Carabao Cup. We are talking about the Premier League. And I'm coming over to you. 4-0. Woods looking like Harry Kane. What's going on?
Who's that to?
Got to be Gunnar King.
Yeah, so the Burnley and the Wolverhampton game I didn't watch, but yeah, look, I mean, in terms of Burnley, I feel very similar with what Gumza said. Sean Dyche isn't a manager I've liked over the years, but I have to respect his craft. I think at the beginning of the season, if you had said to me that they would be safe with 5 games to go, I would have probably laughed. Not because I think Burnley are a bad side, just with what other teams are doing. Because if you look at what they spend, like what they bring in, it's not big, and it's never, we're not talking about it not being big this summer. We're talking like a good couple of seasons, like where they've just had the same core of players. They've not really brought in, they've not got a big squad, it's still quite thin, but the core of it stayed very similar, with your Mies, Tarwarskis, and, Dwight McNeil, I think, is one to watch, even though he was on United's books. I wonder what he would do at a better team. Yeah, I mean, look, Burnley, fair play to them. Wolverhampton, I do feel sorry for. I think the Jimenez injury has affected them, but if you look at this season, how it started, even before that, it wasn't great. So I think like Sheffield United, they had this thing where they got found out, where everything that they was doing that was working last season, teams have really stripped that blueprint and been like, right, this is how we nullify you.
Yeah.
So I think like there's been a perfect storm situation with Wolverhampton where they lost Jimenez and they were getting found out at the same time.
And they lost Diego Jota as well, didn't they?
Yeah. And then they've lost the 12th man as well, with people not being able to go to the stadiums. And, people talk about Anfield being an intimidating place to go. But, your Burnleys, your Wolverhamptons, you've got very passionate, fans, in the northern part of England that turn out in their numbers no matter what, and they make those stadiums intimidating places to go. And I think they've missed that tremendously this season.
Definitely.
Well said. Monday.
Yeah, you want me?
Yes.
All right, 30 seconds. Burnley, congratulations. Sean Dyche, take a bow. Fantastic. You got a team full of 6'4" units who do their job, set pieces, goals. That's how they get their goals. They're not going to beat you down with football skill, but they subscribe through hard work, commitment, and weights. Play rugby. They can walk on the rugby field and match some top teams out there. Really good. You have to appreciate what they do out there. Very successful, and this is the overachieving. Like you said about the budget, about two things. I don't think Sean Dyche could go to a bigger club and be successful, and I don't think Dwight McNeil would either. But for Burnley, it works because it's the mindset. It's a team. It's about character. It's about the team ethic. This is what it's all about. All them guys there, they're big hearty lads, and they get on really well. So that's what makes them work. Thrashing. Let me talk about Mr. Woods, Big Woods, or whatever his name is up front.
Chris Woods, yeah.
Kiwi guy. Fantastic goals today. Really strong. He gives us a lot. Gives any defender problem. Even my own Harry Maguire, who I love to bits, he gave him problems for the physical. Yeah. Whereas Harry Kane the week before was in his pocket, like, get off me, nothing. It's a fair play, and I agree. Wolves losing their striker was difficult. I like the little Fabio Silva guy from Porto. Young striker. In the next few years, they come on. I like their philosophy, how they're doing it, even though you don't see many English players coming through. But this link with Portugal, it works for them. So it's another way of maintaining and sustaining the Premiership. Burnley, there's one way of doing it. and this is the way Wolves are doing it. Who's next?
Thank you. I'm gonna bring you in the way for your beloved. You kick us off. Leeds 0, United 0. I actually had dare I say, I was quite surprised that Man U actually went for it. Actually, and to be honest, you could have won the game. Rashford and Greenwood, and you know, even though I watch your show all the time, the United fans, and I just feel like you guys got to give Ollie a little bit of. Give him a pat on the back. You guys look a lot more,
not me, sir,
and hard to beat in terms of. I think he's done a good job. You're second in the league, and I can see you're not really bringing up the Europa League. I mean, I need the Europa League for United because I really can't have Arsenal, that dreaded team, in that competition. But on Monday, I'm over to you. You know, 0-0. What was it?
Right, second in the league, first in the wage bill. That suggests that we should be up there in the first place, you know? Same with Arsenal. I don't know where you're up there with the wage bill. You should be up there. You know, you're failing badly. So you've got the players. My disappointment with Man United is the philosophy. We've got a manager there who's learning on the job, no experience, doesn't talk any tactics. I'd rather have Arteta in there. I'd rather have a philosophy of the way we play. When we come up against teams like today, we can't break them down. We cannot break Leeds down. We didn't have a way of scoring a goal. When games are tight like that, we rely on one little player, you know. Fair play to Leeds. There's another philosophy of how to sustain yourself in the Premiership. We talked about Burnley. We talked about Wolverhampton with their Portugal mix. There's different ways of doing it. Leeds, fantastic. I mean, one of the best teams I've seen in the league. They run you ragged. They're on your case. I mean, there must be like 50 odd fouls today, but they're not proper fouls like crash. They're more like, I'm fouling you because I'm on you, and these days people as soon as they get touched, they go down. They didn't give you a break. I mean, poor Bruno Fernandes, I thought he was going to get sent off because he was getting harassed properly, and he's not used to that. No time, no space. You're not doing that. And these are championship players, so fair play to Leeds. And I just hope that we're set for Roma, because that was a bit of an embarrassment today. Not when I say embarrassment again, because people don't endorse Ollie. Not to me, because he's got no way of breaking teams down. Look throughout the whole season. We've lost the same amount of games in Man City, 5. They've drawn 4 or something. We've drawn about 10. Those 10 games where we're drawing, we should have been winning if we had a philosophy of play. You know, so we plateaued with Ollie. That's about it. Thank you.
I hear you. Gunnar, look, 30 seconds as well, and then Gunnar.
Yeah, so I watched parts of that game. If I'm being honest, I'm two-sided with Ollie as well. I completely wholeheartedly, see why Amondi can have his view that, Ollie's not really, I think with this squad that United have, it's just blessed with talent. I hate saying it, but like if you look in every department, right, it's just not short of talent. My missus just turned around and looked. She's a United fan, so she was like laughing. But yeah, like I mean, I think what's happened is Bruno's come in, and since he's come in, it's been like he's so good. How do we take him out of the squad? And we'll get to Spurs in a minute. I think it's quite similar, where it's like Harry Kane's so good. How do you take him out of the squad? Or if he's not fully fit, you leave him in. I think Martial being injured has probably taken away the luxury of being able to rotate players up top a bit. Mason, has got a lot on his shoulders for a kid. But listen, I rate Mason Greenwood. I rate him highly. It's not just because he's English. I watch him. It's the temerity to shoot with either foot from anywhere. It's one thing to be a young player coming in the league. I'm just gonna shoot, and not show any defender like fear or respect. This guy's doing it from outside the box with his right foot. It's just like, so Mason's gonna be a good player, but I think at the moment he's at that stage where it's like, what sort of striker is he gonna be? Because he's young, he's still trying to figure that out. Is he gonna be a wing forward? Is he gonna be a number 9? Is he gonna be a second striker? And right now he can play in any of those positions, but it's like, which one is he gonna make his own? And he's got to fill out a bit. As a kid, physically, he's got lightning pace, but I think he's got good technique as well. He can take people on and stuff. but he just needs to develop his game a bit. So he's probably having to learn a bit on the fly a bit at the moment. Cavani obviously can't play 2 or 3 games a week, just given his age, but he's obviously got quality. His movement off the ball's pretty good. Rashford, I would like to see him play as a number 9 if I was a United fan. But that's another story. Yeah, I just think there is a bit of fatigue showing in certain players that aren't either given the luxury of being rotated or they just don't have the luxury of rotating. And I think, again, to time with what Amondi's saying, perhaps another manager would get that balance right a bit more. And that is the difference between drawing or losing and winning games where they refine margins, is how fresh are those players, you know, and how found out are you tactically. And I just think, yeah, you know, those are the areas where Ollie's left wanting. But, you know, to be second, you know, United needs some credit for that, unfortunately.
100%. I agree with you, 100%. Gunner. Gums up quickly, 30 seconds from you, please.
Yeah, Leeds been brilliant this year, breath of fresh air. Love the way they play. Yeah, I think it's an all-round good team. Again, with the budget they're on and the players they got, Bamford, who's been cast aside how many years, you've now got someone who's going to work with him, and it shows you how good a coach he is. Do you know what I mean? Not just going out and trying to buy the best. I've got this, and I'm going to work with it and turn it into something special. Now there's talk of England for him. So fair play to Bielsa, wicked coach, manager, and yeah, his team overachieving, and yeah, hopefully they're here for some years to come, because Leeds is always a good team to play against. Reference United, I would say square pegs and round holes. Got great players. I look at that team, and it's like I assembled a team on Pro Evo, where I'm just picking up the best players and I'm going to play them. I'm looking at the pace and saying, "You're right, he can go on the right, he can go on the left." You've got about 4 guys who you brought as strikers, and they're all now playing on the wings. You rely on individual brilliance a bit too much. So it's almost like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. As soon as you come against a low press, you struggle to break it down. When you play a low press, Cavani's got to start, because he's the natural striker for me. His movement's unreal. I think coaching system of academy football now, Wenger probably has introduced it where they want players to play 3 positions. So you will now find strikers who could equally play on the wing. But what that's done, it's taken away from your natural strikers. Not many of them left. Harry Kane's maybe 1, Aguero, Cavani, them boys. So I'm looking at the new style strikers, and if you give them space behind to run into, because they're naturally fast, yeah, they hurt you. But when you now play defensive, they don't have that elusive movement of, again, I grew up in Italian football, so I remember your Crespos, your Battistuttas, your Inzaghis. Them, yeah, they're killers. So I know people call Greenwood and they call Rashford strikers, but I watch their movement. Martial's movement's not, it's not good enough, like, to be a Man United starter. So I think Ollie's definitely stabilised the team. You've got to get some credit for that. But again, like with Chelsea, if you now give that to a Tuchel or a real top coach, now you're going to see a real team go forward. I think you give Pep, Mason, oh my God, you've got a killer on your hands. So I think Ollie should be credited for what he's done, because he's pulled you out from where Mourinho had you. He has brought pretty well. He spent a lot of money, but he's brought in what he's brought in. And I think another manager could now take you to the next level. You're second, but I don't think you're second on merit. I think you're second because everyone else has been really bad. Because again, I think if you come up against Liverpool, people still have Liverpool as favourites next season.
We've got them next week.
Yeah. But I want you to beat them. But I think if you look at next season, if you just pick a top 4, I think people will still have Chelsea, Liverpool, and City above United. But again, I think you're moving in the right direction. Since Fergie's left, it's been up and down. And this is the first time I see something a bit more stable.
Stability,
I think another manager now should take over. Same as I said, Arteta, let him stabilise it. Now you might bring in your top coach to bring you forwards. But yeah, with United, I think you play a low block, and that's why they struggled against Arsenal, because we're just park the bus against you and try and counter and nick one, and you struggle to break down teams that sit in. So yeah, you're lacking something. lacking a bit of something. Don't know what it is. Maybe maybe a midfielder who could play a Tillemans, a Ruben Neves.
Philosophy.
A bit of that as well, yeah.
I've personally said, like I said, a similar thing with Liverpool to United. I think they should sacrifice a pivot. Maybe play like someone with more as a number 8, like play Pogba and Bruno. Yeah,
but I think when the games are tight, play Pogba deeper, and Bruno's going to play in the 10 regardless. But play Pogba deeper and sacrifice McTominay or Fred. And take the risk because you struggle to break teams down, and Pogba is someone who can open something.
Yeah.
So
good points. Sorry, Dej. Good points you make. It comes back down to the philosophy. If even you put these guys in, they've still got to have a system of play, a pattern of play where we can score goals. We can hardly keep the ball in the opposition's half. So
I don't get why Donny don't play.
Yeah, so I bet you got Van der Beek, play him as a 6, or put, like you said, guys, Pogba, play him as in the midfield, like you say, if that's the way you're going to go forward. People seem to think, we should buy new players, like you said, like FIFA, buy new players and we improve. No, you got to have that philosophy in the side. In the first place, that's proven.
I don't get how Donny doesn't play in them games. I don't get it. Get it. But
you know what? This show is really good. I'm surprised when you guys talk a lot of sense. Big up.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. This Premier League reaction show, we ain't there just making loose comments. This is full-fledged analysis, and I'm saying offering job offers on a no-fee basis. I think definitely can take the United job. I think wants the Liverpool job. Why not? In the age of social media, why not go out there and see what we can do with the big guys?
You never know.
Job.
The champ manager head to me and comes.
So look, gentlemen, that really rounds it up because we didn't get to watch the Aston Villa game.
I've seen it ended 2-2.
It's been a 2-2 draw there. Look, I think West Ham, we know they're as good as that. I think Grealish is still that, and I'm not one to say that teams are a one-man band, but Aston Villa really is a one-man team. When Jack Grealish is playing, you see them perform. When there's no Jack Grealish, I don't think they've won without him, to be honest. So
their form since he's been injured has been bad.
Wow.
So and they've picked up a draw against West Brom. So, but by Villa standards, they've had a good season. And they've got some good players. Ollie Watkins, I like that try. And I think Villa fans should be happy. Definitely. For a while, a little bit like Leeds as well. But I think the Premiership, it just to show how tough the Premier League is. It's such a tough league because look, they've started this season. And Leeds are not in the bottom 3 next season. Look, again, not financial advice, but if you really want to be ahead of the curve, then always on this show, way beforehand. But, we could see Villa and Leeds in the bottom 3 next season. So, not really much to say there from it's probably a fair result, Gabza.
To me, sorry?
Yeah.
I think with reference to Villa, since Grealish has been out, you've seen, do you know what I mean, the effect it's had on them. But I feel they have built a really good squad. I think even if they were to lose him, I do feel they'd be safe for a couple of years. Ollie Watkins is looking very good. Defensively, I know they've let in 2 today, but they've been quite strong. Tyrone Mings is a good player. I can't remember the guy who's next to me. He's done well. Konza's been good.
He is so underrated. It's unbelievable.
And then Matty Cash as well, I think, has been one of the best right backs of the season. Midfield, Douglas Luiz, John McGinn can play. Ross Barkley's kind of gone off the boil a little bit. I'm sure what's happened to him the last few months. But I think 1 or 2 extra additions. That Trezeguet looks all right. So again, they've got an all right basis to build on. West Brom obviously fighting for their lives at the moment. I think it was a bit harsh when they sacked their manager earlier in the season. And then they went on a real bad hit, but it seems like Sam's turned it around a little bit, and they're fighting for their lives. So we'll see what happens to them, but easily could go down. If they don't go down this year, next year they'll probably struggle again anyway. So, 2-2, kind of a fair result. Villa probably don't have much to play for, and West Brom are fighting for their lives. So, yeah, kind of a fair, what you kind of expect from that kind of game. And that's my time on that.
Sure. Gunnar?
The days of Sam Allardyce being a Bolton manager have stuck with me from my childhood. Absolutely can't stand him. Got no time for him whatsoever. Like, sorry, man. I know man, he just rubs me up the wrong way. Like, I'm all for like being like Sean Dyche of Burnley, setting your teams up to be difficult to break down, but with Sam Allardyce, I've noticed there's more of an edge to it. Like there's more like these purveying of dark arts and stuff. So if I'm being honest, I hope West Brom go down, and I think they're going down. This whole Sam Allardyce has never got a team relegated. He's always come in just before a January, been given a window to bring in players. I think he's been quite lucky, and I'd be quite glad to see the back of that record. To go to Aston Villa, they are actually like genuinely a credit to this league with the way that they've been run, considering they avoided relegation on the last day of last season. And look, they have spent big, but it's not been on individuals. They've kind of filled out their squad with young and coming or emerging players, or players that have a reputation to rebuild. And I think Dean Smith, their manager, has done well with what they got. I think the back four that they built, with Taggart as the left back, he's been pretty good this season. Their goalkeeper, Martinez, I don't know what we were doing with him. I just don't even like. Obviously, he's been good, but I don't want to talk about him too much. And I think Cash, and I think Mings has got a lot of credit for that centre back partnership. But for me, I think there's a case to say that Ezri Konsa is better if you watch him closely. He's a good player, man. So I think the midfield, McGinn, he's just got an engine on him. Box to box.
He can play though.
He can play as well. Yeah, but they've missed Grealish. But I think Trezeguet and Watkins are exciting to watch. Watkins, again, it pains me because he's an Arsenal fan. He's gone on record, actually said it, that his dream is to play for us. And we looked at 28 million and we saw him in the Championship and we bought to that kind of money. And then he scored against us. He scored against Liverpool, scored against us twice. Painful, but what can I say? I've got to take my hat off to him. And then I really hope that they are in the Premier League to stay. There's just something about them I like. Because I like teams, right, that when they come up, they don't try and do a Burnley or a West Brom, or with a Sam Allardyce. I like teams that are like Aston Villa and Leeds that are like, do you know what? We are going to concede, but we're going to play without fear and we're going to attack teams. We know we've just come up, but we're just going to play our way. We're not going to tailor it. We're not going to come in the Premier League and think we can't play how we did in the Championship in the Premier League. They back themselves to do it, and fair play when teams do that. I have to respect it. Ultimately, it's how I want to see the game of football played. So
yeah. 100%. No, I agree. And big up. No, Aston Villa. I think with the squad they've got, they're a big team. Let's not forget. Once upon a time they had Dwight York up front. And
Savo Milosevic.
Come on.
7 league titles, albeit Division 1 ones. Some of
European
all of them,
Cup 1982.
Yeah, big team.
They've done big things
with 16 players.
Yeah.
Okay, come in on that result then.
Yeah, good result. West Brom, I think they finished now. They needed a win today. Unfortunately, I don't see it happening. I think they're going down with Fulham and Sheffield United. Unlucky Sam. I think he has done well. Brought in a few good players. Big guy, black African guy up front, who's looks like we're giving more time. I don't know his name, but he looks like a danger. They've got the Brazilian guy in there, but it's just the squad's not balanced. It's never been balanced. And could you name 5-6 their players without scratching your head? There you go. So as for Aston Villa, I really like the manager. He's one of these guys I think that knows all of the leagues. He's got a knowledge on all of the leagues. That's why he can go out and say, Ollie Watkins, how much? All right, I'll take him. You know, and now you get resale value if he does go, because Ollie Watkins has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's not just his ability. I think Ollie Watkins is
intelligent.
Desire, he's got a character about him. There's something about him, and he doesn't stop. I'm actually looking sometimes thinking, I wish he'd play. Could he play for a top 6 side? Yes, he could easily.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You guys have gone through the players. I like the right back that you guys mentioned from Aston Villa, and I like that they bought players from lower leagues and brought them up and give them an opportunity. So Aston Villa all the way. Dean Smith, big up.
There you go.
Yeah, can I just get one sentence in, by the way? Just as an aside, that's why I like Villa as well, because I think there's a sense of elitism about bringing players from lower divisions. Particularly with the big 6 teams. And they're showing that, you know what, like, in the right team or the right system with the right mixture of players, you can bring players up from the Championship. It's not a problem.
Just to add to that, you guys are talking about getting a guy from Norwich, the Argentine, but you were your eyes bug out. Eyes bug out. But really, watch him next season. He could do bits. Trust me. And there's a lot of players in the Championship.
It's good players down there.
We see.
Gentlemen, look, I think tonight's show, not only have we been able to go through the teams, but we've been able to kind of analyse the squads and break it down and see the strengths and weaknesses. And I think definitely the shout for Gunzer, for Gunner, definitely for the Liverpool job. I think you can play anything in the league. And then as for me, I'm going to hang up my boots, given that managed for free, and that would be Tottenham Hotspur. But that they did their thing in the Carabao Cup today. There's no point mentioning that. We can pick that up on Paxton Road. Should we give 1 minute each on our view of the Carabao Cup? I didn't really want to, but you know what, Gunnar, I saw your face. Literally got 30 seconds left. We have the overrun, and I'm going to get my knuckles back for running over. Gunnar, over to you. Carabao Cup, deserved Man City win.
It's happened again. It's happened again. But look, to be honest, I think Tottenham did better than it was more of a fight than I expected, but they were never going to win today. I think City are just a well-drummed, well-oiled machine. It's just scary. How good Phil Foden is. That guy just ran his little socks off. He was absolutely everywhere. Him and Mahrez, they were interchanging, like 1 minute they're on one side, then they're on the other. One's going central, one's in the striker position, then they're dropping, it's just impossible to mark. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think, you did have your chances in the game, which again, what seemed a bit surprising. I think I just think Kane wasn't fully fit, and I think you went through the same thing that you did in the Champions League final, where you're like, it's Harry Kane, he has to play. You can't be playing players against City when they're 50-60% match fit. It doesn't work. I don't care how good you are. You've got Son, you've got a goal threat. Bergwijn, he can come in. You need players that are fully fit for that game. He didn't look fit. Look, I'm obviously delighted that I don't have to watch you guys win a trophy, if I'm honest, especially seeing as I'm an Arsenal fan living in Tottenham. So, yeah.
Well, back at you when you see Villa, I'm the first to come on your when you play Real this week on Monday. Over to thank you, Gunnar, for your.
Keeping it short. Congratulations, Man City. They're the best side in the country. I actually thought Spurs were going to do something tonight or earlier on because of the PSG game coming up. I think that's the main focus for Man City. It's reflected by that in their side. They start with Sterling and players that they wouldn't usually start with. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I feel. Tottenham had their chances. I think it's good that Tottenham got rid of Mourinho. I think the players feel released. Got the chain, that ball chain off their ankles now. They can start playing their football. I think it was the right decision to play Kane. He did look fit. He did look okay out there. And all the breaks and the movement, he was coming deep, popping the ball out and using some of his intelligence. It's a shame for Spurs. It just wasn't to be. But hopefully next season, with this new management, they've got time in their hands now. They can refresh and get back to where they need to be.
100%. Thank you, Monday. Gamza, your 30 seconds.
I'm happy. I'm happy. To be fair, you put up a better fight than I thought. I think defensively, City had chances, but defensively, knowing how Tottenham can be, you stood quite strong. I do feel the running you had to get to the final, letting Orient, Stoke, Brentford, like, this was your year to try and get something, but
you know what I mean. So stop.
Yeah, so I think so whoever's picking them teams out done whatever they could to get you that trophy, but it weren't to be.
You're the one.
Yeah, but again, you come up against City, and to be fair to Pep, like this is when people say about Liverpool and City or Pep and Klopp, I have to give Pep ratings because he goes for everything. Where Klopp last year threw away every competition to get the league. Again, the year before, he didn't try and throw away the Premiership, but he fell short going for the Champions League. Pep goes for every single trophy, 101. So, but again, he's got the squad to do it. So, fair play to City. They've got a great team
to do it
probably,
as well.
Yeah, true. It's probably one of the best teams I've ever seen. The way they play football is just enjoyable to watch. As for Tottenham, yeah, I think it was right to sack Mourinho. Whether you could hold on to Kane and Son this year will be interesting. But sometimes, again, it might end up being better for the club. I think you're always going to struggle to get a good second striker in because who's playing at a good level is happy to come and play number 2 to someone. So you're always going to struggle to build your squad while you've got Son and Kane because you're not going to be able to get ready-made players to come in and play behind them, which is understandable. Them two are unreal. Ryan Mason, who's your manager? What's the manager called again? Is it Mason?
Ryan Mason.
Yeah, Mason.
He deserved to lose because he didn't play Ndombele. So I don't know what he was thinking, not starting that way.
Yeah, he was.
Come on, dude.
He brought on.
Sorry, everyone's froze.
Pissed me off.
He brought on Sissoko, Bergwijn, and Ndombele didn't come on, and I think he's been your best player all season. So I don't get that decision. Harry Winks started. I think he's trying to get the fans on side and playing Harry Winks. It don't make no sense to me, but. Fair play, you put up a good fight. You could have nicked it. You held them till 81st minute, and that's all you can ask for against City. Hold them and try and nick something. So you gave a good account of yourself, I'll be honest, because we played City in that competition a few years ago and got absolutely stuffed. So you done better than us in that. But you don't get no trophies for second place. So.
I didn't realise you didn't start on Ndombele, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, he didn't play. He didn't come on.
I think that was true.
What the hell?
And I think his substitutions, he just got it wrong. Because I think you're right. When you watch Man City play and they do what I call finesse goal, it looked like they wanted to score like a finesse, a top.
Yeah, the perfect goal. Yeah.
Wanted to
walk it in.
10 passes before.
Yeah, Sterling missing sitters for me. Should have been burying some of his chances. Then I thought maybe it's Thursday. All we need is to nick it 1-0 and we win. But when you make the substitution that he made, taking off Lo Celso and Lucas Moura, who were having good games.
Lucas was the best player on the pitch for Tottenham. Lucas was unreal today. He was unreal.
You brought Gareth Bale, who didn't make one tackle when he came on. That's why he didn't start. And you brought on... I've said it on the show before. Sissoko was still out there in that space looking for the alien that took his talent in space. So, you know, talent left him. Salah left him. Do you know that
That's
one?
not good. You shouldn't say that, man.
Anyway.
Oh my God.
Win everything. Great one. We'll just dust off. Hopefully we get in the top manager and we'll crack on. Brendan Rodgers or Nan. Not financial advice, but you heard it here on FT Premier League show. Look, I think you guys have been a fantastic panel. The analysis of games, your knowledge, hey, I think is absolutely fantastic. And if the opportunity in the near future, you are more than welcome to come back and feed in. And it'd be good to get your thoughts with your pre-score predictions. That would be awesome. We've got a label, and you won't be surprised to hear that I'm sitting nice and pretty at the top. It's been a pleasure this evening. Thanks for the
invite.
You're a great host. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Frank. You've been brilliant.
See you guys very soon.
Take care.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Take care.